Mike, I heard at the very beginning when I dialed in that it was recording, so I think
I,
we're
I
all
think I
good.
That
heard that too.
that
Yeah.
was Adam,
Oh,
I'm
but
not
it didn't.
recording with Zoom though. I'm recording with Ecamm. I don't think mine says anything when I hit record.
yeah, I think that was
Okay,
probably.
it says it's recording. That I'll go ahead. Well, now we're talking through it, but anyways, awkward. I'll have to cut that out. Anyways, I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Of course, as advertised, we do not have a winemaker here, but certainly
Yes, we
somebody that
do.
we do. Yeah, now we do. Now we learned that, and somebody that is very close to the Paso wine community, and knows just about everybody. Um, and as you all know, I had the honor of being invited to sit down with Adam for Where Wine Takes You. And I'll tell you a brief story real quick that kind of we were finished, and Josh Beckett had joined us on that episode, and we were leaving the recording area, and he was in and Adam was asking me some questions about like uh, another question that was related to how the group started, and I gave him an answer. He goes, "See," and he didn't know. He didn't say "see." He goes, "It's where wine takes you." And the light bulb went off. I'm like, because tell you the truth, I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for Paso Wine and the idea to start this group. I wouldn't even. And so it's all connected. So what I want to do is introduce our special guest tonight, um, Adam Montiel. Locals will know him from Up and Adam, his radio show, and we'll talk to him a little bit about that and what happened there. You go to his website, he's got some interesting things going on. We'll ask him about those projects, but also um, he is the host for with the Paso Robles Wine Country Alliance of Where Wine Takes You, which you drop an episode every Saturday, I believe it's right. Is that right?
They're
Pretty
normally Friday. Sometimes they drop on Saturday, but we're actually going to be moving them to Thursday. We just decided starting in 26. So
to confuse everybody
I
now, I
know,
guess.
right? Yeah.
Anyways, I want to welcome Adam Montiel. I appreciate him having us invited me to do his show, and I was reciprocating because I think he's a very interesting guy and definitely somebody who has a lot of charisma. And we'll get some interesting stories from Adam, and we'll jump right into it. And I'll let Jason jump in with kind of kick it off.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Adam, and thank you everybody for joining in tonight. I'm excited about tonight. I think all of our calls are fun, but I don't know why I think this one's going to be extra fun. Maybe because we're talking to a real journalist tonight. But that said, uh, Adam, it's hard for me to place a title to you because when I think, I've been a listener of your program for a long time, which I think is essential listening for anybody that likes Paso wine or the region in general. But think of how do I uh, characterize you? And it's a lot of titles, right? I think it's you are a real journalist. Uh, I mean, the quintessential uh, voice, like
Mhm.
proper um, radio voice, but proper journalist, and I think excellent storyteller. Um, I think that is a unique quality or characteristic that you are really exceptional at. You're a winemaker. You're the voice of the Central Coast. You're a TED Talk presenter. Uh, so I'm probably only scratching the surface, but I want to turn it over to you to tell us uh, who you are. What am I missing? What are the other characteristics that are titles that I should be adding?
That's really sweet of you. That's very flattering, and thank you both and everyone here for having me. I know that this group is quite a group, and the page and what it's done over the last several years is just incredible. So it's really cool to be here. And I did make a wine in 2018 with the help of Velia from Desperada and Riley, who is now at Hubba. But at the time, she was making wines with Velia at Desperada. So that 2018 vintage, we made a Peak Pool Blanc that I got from my friend Lucas Pope, who at the time was at Halter Ranch. And they had just taken their Peak Pool where they weren't selling it anymore. A lot of people were doing different things with it. And they were going to make a sparkling wine, which they still do. And he let me get 1/2 ton of it that I bought. So we were able to make a Peak Pool Blanc. My fiance Audrey really wanted to put skin contact on the white wine, which we didn't make an orange wine, but she wanted to put like 24 hours of skins on it. And all the winemakers I would ask, should we put skin contact on a Peak Pool? And I probably got a bunch of no's, but we're doing it anyways. And the wine turned out to be great. So it was really good. It even got on the wine list that Ember we were talking about before we jumped on the air here. So it was fun. We haven't done anything since, but I would love to make another wine again. And I think it would be really, really fun. And I still probably have about 8 cases of it left downstairs. But as
Well,
far as
I was going
titles
to
and
ask
stuff,
you that.
yeah, as far as titles and stuff, I mean, I don't know. Look, I love radio ever since I was a sperm. So I have loved broadcasting. And if you saw my TEDx, and I'd encourage you to, because I want the views, and I need more of them. Yeah. But no, like I've loved radio ever since I was a kid. And I got into radio and I grew up in Southern California, and I thought, we moved back to LA, and I would be doing radio in LA, and it would be awesome. And when I moved to the Central Coast in 2003, I knew that this area is special and the people are incredible. The area is incredible. And I decided I didn't want to leave, but it's very hard to find full-time work here. And it certainly wasn't happening in radio at the time. So I just told myself, like, I'm going to figure out how to stay here. And that's what I did. So 2010 rolled around. I was in radio still, but then I kind of was, when I moved here in 2003, I worked part-time at this place in Paso called Vinoteca Wine Bar. Now it's the Sardinea. Used to be La Cosecha, and it's had some iterations, but it was this wine bar called Vinoteca. In '03, I mean, Via Creek was around, but there wasn't a big scene downtown Paso, certainly not like it is now. And I literally I kind of bullshitted my way through being at a wine bar using like my background in theater. Like I didn't know anything about wine. And the first wine I had that really blew my mind, it was this, I didn't even know what a vertical flight was. And it was this J. Lohr, they have their like cuvee series where they salute Pauillac and Pomerol and Saint Emilion. And I had these 3 wines. There was a 97, a 98, and a 99. And these wines, I was like, wow, these are incredible. And we're like wine. I wanted to know these notes. I wanted to know like what I'm tasting and where it's coming from. And then after a few years of that, 2010 rolls around, and started to combine my then newer love for wine with my longtime love for radio, and created the Cork Dorks, which I hosted with my good friend Jeremy West. And ever since then, it really changed the propulsion and the desire of my career to tell not just stories like that I'll tell with Up and Adam, and we can get into that too, but to tell stories of these amazing men and women in the wine industry. Because as you guys all know, it's truly an amazing industry, but what Paso has is unlike any other wine region on earth.
Amen to that. And I want to get more into that in a minute. You from SoCal? Where at in SoCal you from originally?
I grew up in Agora Hills, but also lived like Thousand Oaks. That is like the Conejo Valley, right on the edge of like LA, Ventura County.
What they call Kardashian country these days.
I know, right? Yeah, we were just north of Calabasas, right?
Um,
Bougie.
right.
Bougie for sure.
Uh, and back you mentioned background in theater. Well, that explains a lot because, like I mentioned, I think you're an excellent storyteller, and uh, I think that's a big deal because a lot of people can be on the radio or maybe have a great voice, but not tell a story like you can. Do you attribute that to your time in theater? Tell us more about your theater experience.
I mean, I loved just kind of being out there and meeting people, and theater seemed fun, and it seemed like a class in high school where you could, just like act and do this. And, but a lot of like the quote thespians, at least at my high school at Agora, they're all like, wearing all black and The Cure, and they were kind of like gothy, and I didn't really fit in with them. But I think if you took like a helicopter over my high school, you see these cliques, right? Everyone's got those cliques. And I would kind of be that dude who's like running from each one. Like I kind of was friends with, the skaters, but I didn't really skate, and friends with the theater kids, but I really wasn't like all gothy and awkward. So I kind of just, I don't know. But I loved theater, and I loved kind of improv, and I loved comedy. I was a big studier, never did it, but I was a studier of stand-up comedy. So I just loved getting out there, and I knew that I wanted to either do TV or radio, and it just seemed like radio was the avenue that would let one's personality come out a little bit more than say TV would.
I could see you doing comedy. You have you have the rap. I mean, I even in your TED talk that was serious about, how you departed your radio career. The way you approached it still had the sense of humor to it that I really appreciated.
Yeah, I feel like a sense of humor, and my fiance will at times like hit me like, Adam, you can't joke about that. I use my sense of humor as a tool in a lot of ways, and they're probably not always the most PC, but like, no, I think humor. I mean, I remember, even like after my mom passed away, I got so sick of hearing, is there anything I could do? And I just started like making things up. Like, I don't know, like Starbucks gift card would be cool right now. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Just like literally anything to just help me get through it. And I use humor for that a lot.
Right.
So I see the intersection of the radio and the theater. Where do you develop the interview skills? You do something fascinating to me, as we do this every month, and occasionally we'll have dual guests on at the same time. That's a tricky discussion to navigate, and how you balance it out. You do that routinely now, and clearly you do it by choice, and that's trickier to do, and you're really good at it. So I'm curious, how did you develop the interview skills through what you've done, and why do you always do two people? That's hard.
Yeah, I don't know. We just were kind of thinking that maybe we could tackle and meet more people. I also love the idea of having two different people there and seeing where their paths are parallel and where they're very different, where they converge and where they kind of, go further away from each other. Where are these two people next to me? How are they unique? But how are they also, where is this thread of similarity? And when you talk about like me in interviews, it's probably the kindest, most humbling thing that I could hear, because I take interviews very seriously. I love conversations. I love, I really love telling people's story, and I listen to, I'm really critical with interviews. I listen to like Howard Stern, and I love being able to, ask questions that one, they might not be expecting, and two, feel a little bit intrusive, but they trust you enough to go there. And I think just being like inquisitive, clever, engaging, and thoughtful all at once. And I remember where it first started, where I first asked a question of somebody, and I thought, this is going to change the way I interview people for the rest of my life. And it was on the radio, probably about 2013. I was interviewing John Waite. And you remember the John Waite 80s star? He sang that song, I ain't missing you at all, missing you, Anyways.
Hey, Adam, didn't you see my post? Oh, you didn't?
Oh, no, I did.
We just went to see him last
No
weekend,
way.
2 weekends ago at the Coach House in San Juan Cap. Yeah, he was
How
great.
was it? He's awesome.
And he was saying he's 73 years old. And he's got a great band, and his voice strong.
That's so
really
good.
Strong. So he sang a lot of that, and he had a rockin' band. Yeah. That's funny you brought it up.
I know, what a trip, what a coincidence. But you'll love this story then. I asked him this question because that song, Missing You, came as one of the first songs, since he was in a band before that, before he went quote solo. And that song, that big hit song, came as he was then solo artist. And I asked him, and I didn't think I was asking anything crazy good or anything like that, but I just happened to ask him, and I asked him, like, do you think that song would have been as pivotal to your career had that song come out when you were with the band? Or do you think it adds something special to the fact that you're now a solo artist? And you would think I would have just blown the dude's mind. I didn't even understand it. His reaction to that question, in fact, I played it. I just did a workshop at a writer's conference, and I brought this up, and I played this piece. And he was like, wow, I can't believe I never, in his like accent and stuff. And he was so, and then even at the end of the interview, he was like, I got to tip my hat to you, mate. Like, you asked that question, blah, blah, blah. And I just never thought of it like that. And I was like, here is a song that the dude is saying 1 trillion times. Here is a song that he has probably been interviewed about 1 trillion times. And for some reason, in my question, that I can't claim any credit, I just thought was a curious question. And it made him think of his song, his art, in a completely different way. And when I like caught on to that, I'm like, I want to earn that reaction in every interview I do. And I try now, like I really try in every interview to have them say, well, that's a good question. Or I never thought of that. Or Adam, you really zeroed in on what this book was about. Whatever it is, if it's a winemaker or not. And I liken this to wine because I think of these winemakers, like imagine a wine, someone just put up, they were drinking a 2023 Clos Salin. Think of like 2023 and Guillaume making this Clos Salin wine. He's got it in barrel. He's racking it. He's doing this. It's finally in a bottle. It goes through bottle shock. He tastes it. He's now bringing it. I mean, this guy has known this wine from beginning to end. But when he tastes that glass of that 2023, whatever it is, and he has it with, say, Chef Rachel Ponce's dish, or maybe Julian Aseo's dish, he gets to experience his wine in a completely different and new way. I think that is so cool. I love asking winemakers that question, but I love the idea of somebody being able to appreciate whether it's their, I do part of Up and Adam, we do True Crime Tuesday. Maybe I'm talking to a true crime podcaster, or maybe I'm talking to a guy who just wrote a best-selling book. To be able to appreciate their talent in a new way, I live for that. I think it's one of the coolest things. And by the way, that 2019 York Mountain Syrah, that is the one that I would wish was in my glass right now. That's one of my favorites. I just saw somebody post that up there.
So that's interviewer magic there, Adam, and you're so good at that and asking those meaningful questions that maybe nobody else had thought of. It likens me to, I don't know if you've ever watched the show The Hot Ones, but Sean Evans, if you haven't, one of the best interviews I've ever seen.
It's fantastic.
And I almost never see an interview he does where he hasn't stopped by his guest and said, that's such an amazing question. But you do that. You do that really well.
Yeah, as does he. And I'm glad you brought him up because he is another one that has very thoughtful, specific, direct, but poignant questions.
And there's clearly exceptional research that he does before. What's that look like for you before going into interview? What's the research look like?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be really frank with you. I obviously, like, you're Googling, you're finding out other things depending on who you're talking to. Like if it's a national name, I want to know the interviews that they've done recently. I will check that. Of course, you check out, obviously with a lot of these national names, you know what you're promoting. Like, hey, they're here to promote their new show, new book, whatever. So I want to look into that. And then I've really harnessed AI to work alongside me. And I don't just say, hey, give me questions. I'm talking to, blah, 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 because that's not the way to use AI. And you'll get junk out of it. You know what I mean? But I've made my own GPTs. I made my own, and I talked about this at the writers conference. I have my own formula now that I'm trying to put every interview I do through this funnel of what I call iced tea. And this is really getting inside baseball. This is going to bore the crap out of probably most people. I won't get too into it. But because I love iced tea, it's like I don't drink coffee and that's like my drink. I love iced tea. So again, and I touched on it a second ago, inquisitive, clever, engaging, thoughtful. How can every single question and idea go through this funnel for complete authenticity where you're like really letting this person feel so disarmed and so trusting in this conversation. And mind you, some of these conversations, I might have somebody for 7 minutes, and after they just hit somebody else, they get me, and when I'm done, they're bounced to another interview. So it's like sometimes these junkets, you get them quick, and how are you going to stand out? How are you going to get something that they haven't been asked over and over and over again? So I've taken a long time since I got let go in 23, as AI and GPT was coming out, fine tuning, where if somebody is into AI, they might appreciate this, making your own GPT. And then every single interview I do, I will transcribe it, or I'll have a program transcribe it. So now I have a whole, couple pages of the words, and I put that back into my GPT. So not only do I work with my GPT to help me kind of go, where do I want to go this place with this, or I want to go that place with this person. And I did it with Mike and Josh while they were on Where Wine Takes You. But then after that interview is done, I go, okay, here was that interview that I did. Because yes, you can have AI help you a little bit and work alongside you. I kind of use the term carry the water. AI can help you carry the water. It can't write questions just for you, but if you do it right, it can help you carry that water a little bit, and help do a little bit and work alongside you. And then I go, okay, here's what actually happened. So yeah, we worked together to create what we're going to bring to the table. But by the way, I did this interview by myself with them, and here's how it went down. Here's what I actually asked. Here is the follow-up that wasn't written down. Here was their answer to everything. Putting that back in there really helps this custom GPT work with me, specifically me. And it's awesome.
I love that. I mean, I work with
That's amazing.
I work with AI in my business, in my profession. I love that particular application of it. And I love your iced tea. That's brilliant. The E was engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So of all these different titles on your resume, we don't have to list them all again, but there's a lot. Which one is most fun for you to talk about right now? Which one are you vibing on the most?
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself a broadcaster and have for a long time. And even though I can't claim this, but I do use this line all the time. After I got laid off in October of 23 from terrestrial radio, and radio, God bless, I'll always love radio, but it's changing. It's different. It's watered down. So I talked to a guy from who also got laid off earlier that year out of San Francisco sports radio, a guy named Damon Bruce, really smart guy, good guy. And he tells me on the phone, we'd have a mutual friend. So he's like, my good friend Jeff was like, hey, you got to talk to my boy Damon. He's in the same boat, blah, 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 blah. And he said two things that were really good, especially if you've ever had a time where the rug got pulled out from underneath you. He said, and this will apply to anybody, but he said, you've never been more free than you are right now what he said, you've never been more free right now with the most experience that you have right now. Like, you're the most experienced you've ever been, and you're the most free you've ever been right now. That was huge. But then what he said about radio and about where we're going and where the future of radio is, which is podcasting, which is YouTube, whatever you want to look at, it's digital. He said, we're not in the business of broadcasting, we're in the business of narrowcasting. And that to me is just so on point, because, and honestly, Paso Robles Wine Fanatics is a great example of that. What you guys are doing here is a great example for that, because, Mike at his home, or you, Jason, at your home, like, if, a radio station's not going to give you a show called Paso Robles Wine Fanatics, maybe, probably not a lot of people are going to listen to that in a terrestrial radio place, wherever you're at in Orange County or Sedona, wherever you're in the country. But the fact that you could have a podcast about canoeing or Paso Robles wine, now any person in this country, on earth, can listen into your podcast about canoeing, about manicures, whatever you want your podcast to be about. That's why it's so exciting that, like, we are not in the broadcasting business anymore. We are in the narrowcasting business. And I think that is more exciting than ever, where, yeah, love broadcasting, love being on the radio. That was fun. But I love the idea where somebody could be washing dishes, listening to the show, and then, Dustin's practice is over. I got to go pick them up, honey. And they bring their phone, and what happens? The podcast comes right up on their smart dash. Or they're like, hey, babe, I'm going to go walk the dog. Boom, that podcast is in their earbuds. So it's that's why narrowcasting, and that's why digital. I mean, shoot, when I got laid off October of 23, podcasting was like a $2 billion business. It's like a $5 billion business now. Like, it's the future. And I thank HEM every day for letting me go, because it changed my life. And I don't know, I probably was so devoted to radio that I would have probably stayed there at that salary. You know, you don't get into radio to make money. It's the same thing with wine. You don't get into wine to make a lot of money. But when you love it, and when you get to do what you love and love what you do, there is nothing better. And now it's just so different, and it's such a blessing that I wasn't able to see right then when the rug gets pulled out from under you. When you see the fact, like, imagine getting laid off and it's on the cover of the Sunday paper. That was really hard. That was really, self-defeating. And I don't know. I just didn't think I was going to even ever feel better after that. But then it's like you get to look back and go, wow, what a blessing in disguise.
Well,
Hey,
a lot
hey,
of people have been laid off, and
yeah,
and they don't take it the same way. So I think
right.
huge kudos and credit to you for how you parlayed that into something special. But you could have
Hey,
gone any direction with it. But what you did
hey,
with it was special, meaningful. I'm sorry,
hey,
Mike.
Adam,
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
did the thought ever come across your mind? Because I got laid off too,
Yeah.
and you go like, hey, what about that other fucking guy?
Sure. Well,
That's where your head goes, right? Why me? What about him? You know.
yeah, it's interesting because, well, no, sure. And I mean, sometimes when like the dark stuff creeps in, but it's like you don't always know why something is happening. And it's so interesting that, and I remember like being in radio, I always wanted to be in Radio Inc. magazine. I remember reading, it's like a trade magazine, and I always wanted to be in Radio Inc. And then I get laid off, and then it makes the cover of the Sunday paper here on the Tribune. But then I'm just like, Googling and seeing if anyone else is covering it. And sure as shit, Radio Inc. magazine does a story on me. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my gosh, I finally made Radio Inc. magazine, but it's when I got fired. It's
yeah.
crazy. But there were other people that got let go, not from San Luis Obispo, but our company owned stations in Santa Maria. A couple people got let go there. They own, I think, a couple stations, or like Durango, or so other markets had layoffs. But I was the one. I think I was probably the one that was there the longest. Had like the biggest, kind of like the most notable person out of all the layoffs. And yeah, I mean, I think kind of like you heard in my TEDx, I just don't know where that kind of thinking would have got me, and it's like, and it's sometimes when you're in a place for a long time, and you're maybe they're trying to save money, and maybe somebody else that maybe is, I don't know what everyone else is being paid there, but it's like they're making it, you're just a cell on a spreadsheet, like I said in the TEDx. It can't, I didn't want to take it personally, but yeah, it's like, well, okay. And
Very important that somebody covered the story.
oh, I appreciate you
So,
saying that.
no, that means you had a value to the community. You were important in the big picture. So
Yeah, and that was probably the hugest blessing of it,
that
was
probably hurt, but yes, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Like seeing the way the community stood by was like, I mean, it was very humbling, and again, another blessing that I wasn't even ready to see, and was just so surprised by.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, before I turn back to Paso, which I want to do in a second, and reference a comment you made earlier, I feel like we shouldn't lose this opportunity, referencing the TED Talk and that experience you had. A lot of people today, previously I worked at Amazon for 7 years. They laid off a lot of people last week, and I know it's not just them that's going around. You might be able to help somebody that's going through it. Is any words of advice you'd give to somebody that's going through that right now?
You are never more free than you are right now, with as much experience as you have right now. I mean, to me, that when I sat with that, and I remember I had another dude, a friend came over, and he was just like, he's sharing time with me and was kind of being there for me. And I got this call from Damon Bruce, and I'd be like, hold on, I gotta, because I gotta talk to Damon Bruce for a second. So I put it on speakerphone, and you know who I think? I think it was Patrick from Tin City Distillery. He came over just to like, show me some love and be there for me. And when he said that, like my face changed, my mind was blown. He heard it was like it just stopped me in my tracks. And I think to focus on that, that you have never been more free than you are now, with as much experience as you have right now, to me that was huge. And don't give up, and find, and this is, and I joked shamelessly about watch the TEDx, but there's a part in there where I talk about like, like this analogy of a tree, and like a tree has like its root system and its fruit system, right? And the root system is dark. You don't know, but it's strong, and the reason that it's strong, it's so that fruit system can do what? It can go up and chase the sun. That's what plants do. They go up and they move towards the sun. So, knowing how strong your root system is going to be, indicative of how strong your fruit system is. And also, the point of the TEDx talk was determination, and that determination isn't what you get to. It's where you are. It's the journey. It's the right now, and how resilient and how strong you are. And like Mike said, of course, there's dark times that creep in. You're like, what? But if you say, "Why me?" instead of saying, "What now?" you're going to lock yourself into a jail that you're not going to be able to get out of. So it's self-talk, but to be able to, instead of saying, "Why me?" And look, we live in a time where people are trauma dumping and they're filming their own stuff. Look at this. Blue Jay fans are actually putting cameras on themselves, crying, watching them losing the game. There are people who like trauma dump all the time. And if you spend more time saying, "What now?" instead of "Why me?" that is going to propel you. That is going to put the wind at your back, I believe.
Well said. Very well said. So the reason that we're all here and what we all have in common is our love for Paso. You mentioned earlier in the call about how unique and special Paso is, and I think there's probably three or four things that we talk consistently about, that is kind of unique and special to Paso from most wine regions, communities around the world. And they're making excellent wine. I'll just name a few, and I'll have you add on to it. But they're making excellent wine, but there's such a supportive community to each other, more so than I've seen in any other wine community. Uh, you can actually still meet winemakers in Paso Robles, which for a wine region that produces that level of that quality of wine, that's still pretty rare. Um, and it's still relatively affordable for the quality of wines they make. Um, what are some of the other things to you that make it unique and special?
There's the tangible and then there's the intangible. And they're both equally important, but maybe the intangible a little bit more. And that is the people. The people, like you touched on, are unlike any other wine community on planet Earth. And that's just like, I don't even know if that's an opinion. I think that's just a fact. I mean, there's a reason why people drive straight through Santa Barbara, which has beautiful wines like, Santa Rita Hills or this. I mean, some of the most gorgeous wines on earth are in Santa Barbara County, and they come from my favorite Pinot Noir, Santa Maria. Like, oh, that's Solomon Hills Pinot Noir, like Bien Nacido. Oh my gosh, that's just like my flavor. But why do people drive right through Santa Barbara to come to Paso? It's the people. It's so incredibly special what Paso Wine, how they've collectivized and done such a great job, is unbelievable the way they do that, because there's a lot of disjointedness. And it's not just me, like, I'm not smack talking Santa Barbara. I mean, these are things that people from Santa Barbara have told me in other interviews, and I just happen to agree with it too. And you don't. It's the reason why people from Napa, it's the reason why Helen Keplinger is coming down to Paso. It's the reason why Juan Mercado is coming down to Paso. Yeah, they've gotten A+ and done great, amazing, beautiful wines in Napa, but they see something really special with the people in this region. The tangible, look, you have the ability to grow, I don't know, now 60, 70 different varieties to world-class levels. I mean, you're seeing people go, oh, there's like, Aglianico, or there's like all this stuff. And, Viognier, Roussanne. I mean, like, there's so many different kinds of grapes. And I love that this maverick mentality that Paso has had, and held on to so fervently. Look, you can still choose to grow what you want. You're not priced out. Like people in Napa, I don't think you can afford to not grow cab. I mean, it feels like I remember when I did a show in Napa, I did a Cork Dorks show there. We wanted to find people that really embodied that Paso mentality. And I met a guy named Tim Kroll, and he's got a wine in Napa called the Terraces. And this guy is growing Zin. And, she's got some cab because he wants to keep the lights on, but he grows all kinds of other fun stuff. Just a really free, awesome dude. And here you see people growing and blending anything they want. And we have the ability with these 11 sub AVAs, someone just splashed up their York Mountain. I mean, what York Mountain is doing. And I mean, we're going to hear about York Mountain. The next 10 years, York Mountain's going to blow up when you see some of the winemakers that are there now and some of the wines coming out of there, led by Epic, who's been doing incredible stuff there for years now. It's just like there's so many things. Of course, you can go the soils of this and that, but it all comes back to the people.
Yeah, no, beautifully said. Mike and I talk about this often. My wife and I like to travel. I know others, some of my friends in this group, Jen for one, enjoy traveling around the world to different wine regions. And I don't like Paso just because of those things we mentioned, or just because I haven't tried anything else. It's just the opposite. I've experienced these wine regions all around the world. I love some of them. None of them put all these elements together quite like Paso does. And it is, I think, largely driven by the intangibles. But just to your point, in Italy, funny you mentioned Aglianico, one of my favorite grapes from the southern part of Italy. Um, Carmenere in South America, Trigo Nacional in Portugal. And Paso can make all these and make them really well. I mean,
Right.
where else can you say that about? It's extraordinary.
That's a great
Uh,
point.
yeah, well said, Mike. I think you have your hand up.
Yeah. To Adam's point, the reason why this group has such a bond is because it's why my wife and I fell in love with Paso with some friends of ours, is that we had the winemakers were accessible, the tasting room people were great. There was a level of hospitality that actually my research is Gary Eberly taught a lot about hospitality to the region, and it became part of the culture. When you talk to him, and he goes, "Well, I trained some of those people, and they went out to other wineries, and it became part of the whole scene." What I liked is I could go up there and I could meet a winemaker and talk to them, not the tasting room attendant or server. Not that I don't have great respect for those. It was that there's something about the passion that a winemaker and his craft and the product he's presenting to you can only come from him or her. And so this is why the group is so solid
Mhm.
with Paso, and one of the reasons why has stayed the way it has been. And I will add one more thing. We know we have people we talk to in Santa Barbara, and they'd love to grab the Paso Magic and bottle it and have it there in Santa Barbara. But it's not something that you can just overnight change, and so there's a little bit of jealousy over it. Yeah, I do believe, like Jason was saying. So
I
that's
love
my
that you brought up Gary Eberly, because here's someone who says we're not in the wine business, we're in the hospitality business. And that was something that he learned directly from Robert
Mondani.
Mondavi.
Yeah.
And
right.
I'm sure you could, I mean, I guarantee you today, unless Penn State was playing, He was outside in his chair, with a glass of Viognier, and when it hit 11:30, he probably turned that into cabin, and he's greeting people, and he's so authentic why he does it. Like, he loves seeing people, and I don't know, he has these little lines that he probably reuses them, but they're just so charming, even when he says it, like, "Oh, we saved a spot for you," or, "Oh, you're late, but come on in," like all these little things. He's just great. And you're totally right when you say that. And there is something to the effect of like seeing the winemaker, and that you can do that in Paso. And you're right. These people are so passionate. He or she, who's ever making this wine, to be able like you go to taste of Jay Ducey, you're going to look right through that glass and you're going to see Janelle backing up a forklift or something like that. So it's just, it's one of a kind authenticity, and it's something like you only get here.
And and you can say that from experience because you recently did an amazing cruise through Bordeaux.
Yeah, that was
Tell,
fun. Going to Bordeaux
tell
was
us
great.
about that.
Yeah, we went with two people who were just unbelievable. Like the chemistry of these two guys, Eric Jensen from Booker and Stefan Aseo from L'Aventure. You take a guy like Stefan, who literally was making wine in Bordeaux. Oh, there you go, boom. And you take is that the For Her?
It is. Wow, you saw that.
Yeah.
That
That's
was
not real quick.
nice.
There's a funny story with the For Her. I interviewed him a couple years ago, and because his accent is sometimes a little bit tough for me to get, he was, "Let me get you a bottle of wine." The interview's all done, and he's back in there, and he's shuffling through boxes like a room away. I can barely hear him. He's like, "Oh, no, and I'm like, I don't, yeah, I don't know." And he's like, "Well, I'm not giving him a For Her if he doesn't even understand what I'm saying." So he brings out another wine, but he was offering me a For Her, but because I couldn't understand through his thick French accent a room away, I didn't even get it. So, but no, going to Bordeaux with these guys was so much fun because, one, you see the camaraderie of these two dudes who have such a history with each other. But then here we are tasting wines in the old world right next to the wines that are inspired by them. So that was really exceptional. And that's why I love, even I started this relationship with Alma Waterways when they started with the radio station. And after I left terrestrial radio, I kept my relationship with Alma, and they still have always liked working with me. And I've gone on, 4 cruises now with them, and now working with the people from Cork and Cruise who did the last 2 with me. Yeah, it's awesome. And to taste, and I'm putting one together hopefully for 27 that I can talk about soon. But to go into the old world, whether it's the Rhone or Bordeaux, and to bring Paso wine and Paso winemakers along and lovers of Paso wine on this boat, it's really, really fun. And you get out of there and it's like, remember that feeling when you were wrapping up school and you get like kind of sad, but you're excited for summer and everyone's signing each other's yearbook. Like everyone is like a little sad to see each other go. You've had this week with everyone. It's a really fun time. And I literally have friends to this day from every single one of those cruises. It's a special time.
Yeah,
very
nice.
good.
Mike, were you
well, first of all, the first thought I have that comes in my head, I always have to express trouble. Alma, we need to talk. We need to do a wine fanatics deal. We need to put something together.
Yeah, I'll connect you with the guy who's the head of doing the wine cruises at Alma. I think you'll really like him. His name is Robert, and I think your group would be just so perfect for an Alma cruise. And look, it doesn't matter where you go. You could let's go to the Rhone, let's go to Bordeaux, and I'm happy to give you my tips on each one. I've been lucky enough to do both of those. But I mean, I'm thinking of like, we were going to go on the Danube, then COVID happened. We're looking into like the Douro. I mean, and it just doesn't matter because let's say you're going with Epic, or let's say you have your favorite wine that you're going with. That wine, that Paso wine, will taste just as good on the Douro, on the Garonne, on the Rhone. So it's all good.
Yeah, and but I also add that what's great is it's not many of these people on here are regulars that we have when we go up to Paso, we get together while we're there for the party or some other event. And I think a lot of us would like to get together and do that as a group. And
on a cruise.
Cruise. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
see, I see.
that's a great idea, Mike.
And by the way,
Nancy
we're
just
gonna
did the run.
we want to be respectful of your time.
I got a little more time. You're fine. If you're wanting to hang on a little longer, I'm down.
No, we're good.
Oh, good. That's fine. Okay.
But what we were hoping to do, and I don't know, Jason, if I
We're gonna
stepped
share
on
one more
anything,
story and then open it up. Is that okay?
go ahead. Then
Okay.
we want people here to our guests here to hit you with some questions.
All right.
Engage.
Bring it
Yeah.
on.
I just want to share one of my, because we were talking about Stefan, it reminded me of one of my favorite moments on one of your shows, one of your interviews.
Hmm.
And I met Justin Baldwin in Costa Mesa at a place called High Times when he was doing a tasting for Justin. And I asked Justin what his favorite winery was that wasn't his, and he said L'Aventure for sure, hands down L'Aventure. My next trip up, I went and visited L'Aventure, became a member, and fell in love with their wines. And then hearing Stefan on your show, one of the things that really stood out to me that was particularly meaningful, knowing in particular what he has meant to the region and how he's been a part of kind of elevating the region and how he's brought his creativity and quality to the region. But he said in your interview that he's just happy to have put a brick in the wall of Paso. And that stood out to me on that interview with yours because it showed the humility of somebody that's particularly talented and has had significant contribution, but the humility of just, saying it's just a brick in the wall of what has become this really special place.
Yeah,
One of
I think for someone like him who's such a vibrant, enthusiastic personality, what a humble thing to say, right?
Right,
Because here, you could argue, look, there's Justin Baldwin, who, I mean, Justin Baldwin would go out there to his winery in the early 80s. L'Aventure wasn't even thought of yet. He drove past a whole lot of nothing now, which is like the Rodeo Drive of wine country off on Vineyard. And here he is going like, this is a winery that I love. And for Stefan to be like, I mean, he's such a well-known name, and the story is so incredible. And of course, you'd be silly not to know that, but he looks at this as something. He's just a brick in this bigger picture, and that's really cool. That's a really humbling, and I think, a lot of, I wish everyone thought like that. That's really cool.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, that was
I'll
a
tell you
special
really
moment.
one quick great Justin Baldwin story that and it brings up my friends at Epic again, because Epic is such a unique name. A lot of people go Epoch, and I'm
Right.
interviewing Justin Baldwin a couple years ago, and he says, I had Epic. I owned Epic. I'm like, whoa, no, what do you mean you
What?
owned Epic? Yeah. Well, the name Epic Wines he had on a label in the 80s. Look at this picture that Justin Baldwin sent to me. Let me see if I can blow it up. I'm going to show it to you. This is a 1989 Merlot made by Justin. And look at that label on it.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Whoa.
So he had a
Wow.
conversation with Bill Armstrong, like, by the way, don't be so quick. That name, I might have used that name before, So of course they had a friendly conversation, and if you know the story of Epic, I mean, the way that they have, just paid so much homage to the history far before
Yeah,
Justin, but like the York
right.
brothers is incredible. But a little known story that I thought, maybe your fans and your fanatics would enjoy.
I
No,
love it.
that's great story. Great
Yeah.
story.
And yeah, York Mountain's a special place.
Mm.
And hearing Gary Everly tell the story about dividing the AVAs back in the day. And I
See,
mean,
if Gary Everly had his way, York Mountain would not be York Mountain. It would all be Paso,
yeah,
and it wouldn't be just right. I mean, believe me, I love Gary. Me and my fiance just love Gary Everly to death. But
yeah,
no, I'm so glad York Mountain is York Mountain, because it deserves to be, and it's different, and it's
yeah,
special.
yeah. And and I know Russell's making some cab out there now. I know Justin Smith has got some property out there now. There's a lot of
Yep.
big things going out that way.
Anthony Yunt, Juan Mercado. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of incredible winemakers.
The Guillaume brothers, right? No, not
Yeah,
York Mountain, right? They're out that way though. right?
They
York
might be,
Mountain.
it's incredible. There's the amount of people, but it is a very small area, small finite area, but there are a lot of great winemakers. And it's really, to me, I think 10 years, York Mountain, I mean, it already is, it's incredible now, but I think more people are going to be talking about it for ages and ages in the next decade.
No, I
And
love
not,
I love the fruit out of there. Yeah.
and I just
Yeah.
can't pass up the opportunity to just mention Jordan when we're talking about York Mountain for so long and not mentioning Jordan. She deserves to
So
mention. Uh, and we are
Best.
getting late on time, and I
lots
see
of
a
love.
bunch of comments in there. So we want to do this a little differently, folks. Instead of just the questions in the chat group, we just want to open it up and just maybe raise your hand and just
So
ask your questions.
there's a new feature on Zoom now. You just raise your hand and you will see it. So I'm going to recognize our friend and teammate Jennifer Prim. Go ahead, Jennifer. Hit him with your best shot.
Jennifer, you are recognized. I feel like we're in Congress or something.
Adam, hi, it's good to see you. I last saw you at the Cab Collective with the whole Cab Franc showdown. That was so much fun. My question is, what winemaker have you not interviewed yet that you're just dying to meet and interview?
That's a tough one. You know who I've met him, but I have not interviewed him since his brand has since surfaced, is Anthony from Pius. We've tried to like figure it out, and of course now this literally, and I've learned this since starting Cork Dorks, this time is incredibly tough to get winemakers, and you might have something scheduled and then it's like, hey, I got to back out, or I don't talk to me till November. So it's really tough this time to get people. Like I would, save this time of year and I would talk to like the Gary Eberleys or the, people who aren't, like always like, doing punch downs and stuff. But yeah, he's one that I can think of on the top of my head that I haven't had on yet. Know him. I've always really liked his personality and have a great rapport with him. I knew him when he was at Dow and was kind of in that familial situation, but I have not talked to him since Pius has been born. So I think that would be a really fun one. I look forward to that. I'm sure it'll happen soon. Great question.
Let's see who else. Put your hand up. Anybody else?
So Mike and Delia, you need to tell Anthony if you see him to call out him again.
Yeah.
We hadn't been there. We were there, I don't know, right before COVID or right after things opened up with COVID. And it was Zenyatta, which they still carry the Zenyatta wines. But we went back in August and had an incredible tasting. The same gentleman was in the tasting room, and I forget his name right now. But the Pius wines, they had two different levels, and like kind of an entry level and then their luxury level. They were phenomenal. They were very good. Their cab was one of the best cabs we've ever had anywhere, Napa, anywhere. It was fantastic.
Not Kevin, but Curlin or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, Curlin or
something similar to Kevin.
So anyway, but Saturday is the pickup party, so we're headed back up on Saturday. So
that's awesome. Yeah, he's a fantastic winemaker. I remember his time at Dow, and just a really neat guy. I just really he and I got along really, really well. I thought of another winemaker who I would love to talk to, and it's because he's shy. Like we know each other well. And he says, if I ever do an interview, because I told him if he does an interview with someone else, I'll kill him. But he says, and that's Stanley from Top. He's shy, and Elena is so lovely and so eloquent, articulate, and I can understand why he would prefer for her to speak to the brand. But Stanley, as you know, is such a talented, and he's just like, he's from LA too. He's just a homie. He's just a great guy, and we have a lot of the same taste in food and music. He's got fantastic taste in wine. It's funny, you go up there to visit him, you're thinking you're going to taste some Top, because what a privilege that is, and he's busting out everything but Top. He's bringing out the SQN, the this, the that, the old world. Like he has fun with it. So yeah, I would love to get him not feeling too shy on himself. I'd love for him to open up, and with me, I think it would be a fun interview.
100%. We've had Elena on here too, but no Stanley.
We're revisiting Top and Karn on Monday, so we've got both of them on this weekend as well.
I almost opened a Karn tonight. Yeah, Karn was fantastic. He was on the latest episode.
Andy is awesome too, and and Elena was fantastic the last time.
Mm-hmm.
We had Elena on here, and like I knew the same as you. He's shy, and Elena came on, and she was great. She was great. But then I went up there shortly after, and was in the barrel room, and ran into Stanley. He knew who I was, and we had a great conversation. And he has a great personality, and he's animated. And I mean, everybody's got but he would be a great guest. He is passionate about what he's doing. So maybe someday we'll be able to drag him out here.
Not before I do, Mike Adams.
I'm gonna beat you to it.
Stanley, do Adam's show.
Yeah.
Matt's got a question. Matt, go
ahead, Matt.
Well, two things real quick. First was over at Pius, it's Kenvin, which is really interesting. He gave us the whole story behind that. And he just went to Europe and met his grandson, who is Kenvin the Ninth. So they call him K9. So I thought that was pretty neat.
That's cool.
Yeah, we just went there for the first time recently. The other thing was more a comment of appreciation rather than a question. So I only found Where Wine Takes You not too long ago, and have listened now to quite a few episodes. But as a person who has to deal with meetings and group conversations a lot, one of the things I think you do particularly well, like I find myself actively saying, "Ooh, look how well he did that," was as people get going, it's very easy to let them go and go and go and go and go. But if you've got a finite time to get through it, you really do need to keep things on track. And I'll listen to somebody and they're kind of going into it and they're passionate. And you have such a great way of jumping in there. You're not cutting them off in a way that's like, rude or jarring. It's just like, oh yeah, and we'll want to talk about that. And then include whoever else might be in there as well. So the way that you're able to kind of jump between the different people that are on there and just kind of keep that moving along, I'm like, I wish I had that skill. So just wanted to throw that out there.
That's a really thoughtful thing to say, Matt. And I feel like, if my fiance's listening, so you're saying he just knows how to interrupt good. That's not good. But no, I think
it's the respectful redirect.
Yes. No, I totally get what you mean. I think that's a really sweet thing to say, Matt. I appreciate that.
Jason and I are total amateurs, so we do let the winemaker blather on for a while. and what we're interested in their story, so we let them go. When you have two people, obviously, you do such a great job of balancing off it. When I was with you, you went back and forth between me and myself and Josh, and it was so smooth, professional that I was so impressed. Really,
I think in conversation, you're sitting across from somebody having coffee or a glass of wine. Like, it's not always like da da da. Now I'm done. Now you talk. Now I'm done. So it is a little bit kind of extemporaneous, and sometimes there's little jump ins there, and so I want to make it fluid and sound natural, but and sometimes people they don't do a job where a microphone is in front of their face all the time, and sometimes they don't know when to stop, and they're like, I should finish the story. Like, they're thinking in their head while they're talking, and I can imagine that can be unnerving, and sometimes you're really just kind of giving them an out really quick, so it's not really meant to cut them off per se, but just to kind of keep things smooth, keep them comfortable, keep things flowing. I think Matt zeroed in on that. I don't think anybody's ever pointed that out before. So good on you, Matt.
Yeah, that's a good observation, Matt. Well said, because I can tell you that's a real skill, Adam.
No, you have the mojo, man. You do. You made me feel so comfortable, and I realize how how at ease people are with you.
That's a huge
It's
compliment. Thank you for
amazing.
saying that.
No,
Yeah.
no, you made me feel when I told Jason, I go, no, I came up there, I can't butterflies. And the minute you walked into the room and I was there, everything just went away because you have that vibe about you, you know. So anybody else have a question?
Maybe
Lord
more of a
knows.
testimonial than a question for both the fanatics and for Adam. You know, the first time we were going out to Paso, we kind of leaned on, we found the fanatics page, and a couple of, you know, when we made a comment that we're coming out, a couple of winemakers slid in the DMs and said, "Hey, come visit us," which is great. And then, you know, trips 2, 3, 4, 5 is mostly listening to Adam, both of his Up and Adam show and the Wine Fanatics. And it's like, I'm listening to this winemaker. I like what they're saying. We're going to go visit this. You know, I'm looking in our wine fridge and it's Caliesta because they do truffle hunt, right?
Yeah.
Epic,
Alexa.
Turtle Rock, Law, Herman Story, Copia, Shale Oaks, all stuff that came from Adam's show. And then every time my wife Jenny gets done with an episode, she's texting me. She's like, "How soon before we can move out to Paso? How soon before we can move to Paso?" So from people who are not local, just a lot of appreciation for everybody here.
Where are you from?
Rob from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wow.
What are both of your names, Rob and
I'm Jenny.
well, thank you both for listening, and especially for listening to Up and Adam too, not just the wine stuff. That means a lot, and I'm glad that I have some listeners in Minnesota. That is super cool. So next time you guys come out, let us know.
And a plug for Breaking an Entry, your Christmas
Thank you
stuff.
so much. Yeah, I'll mention that before we get out of here if they let me, because that really means a lot. Thank you.
Everyone
Mention it. Go ahead, Adam. Do it now.
So I do something. I'm in my 12th year. It's called our Breaking during Christmas. And what we do, it's really for a family that by all accounts, Christmas is not in the cards. Like they have had just an impossible year. We've seen all different kinds of scenarios. Last year, it was an 8-year-old boy, a 10-year-old girl. They lost mom in April. Then they lost dad in October. And grandma became a single mom. And then she was driving the kids 80 miles because you should go to Tascadero to Slow for school. She was doing it in a car that hadn't passed smog in 4 years. So the Breaking in Christmas is people will first nominate families that have had a really tough year, and then we pick a family based on their needs and our resources of that year, and then we use the help of the the second stage is we change the names and ages of the family. So it's 9-year-old Isaiah and 11-year-old Olivia, and he loves Pokemon, she loves drawing, and we put stuff out on the airwaves to get people to donate presents. And then the third stage is we use the help of the person that nominated the family to get them out of the house so they don't know, and we mobilize. We bring in a tree, we bring in presents, we bring in money for the tree, we decorate the house and lights, and we have about 24 people that spend 2 hours on this house. We're out like it never happened. And the best part, truly the best part, is that this family stays completely anonymous. So people will support with cash donations, or they'll businesses will come through and support with like, hey, we'll give like Central Coast Gymnastics, we'll give them a birthday party, or maybe Libby from Just Baked, like, oh, we'll get them a birthday cake. Or so that's what we do with our Breaking and Entering Christmas. And we're even though we started in October, just kind of like getting into that nominating the family. And after I got laid off and left terrestrial radio, the competing radio stations loved what I was doing. So now they put me on all 5 of their stations. So now not only does Breaking and Entering get love on Up and Adam, I'm even sneaking some mentions at the end of Where Wine Takes You, but all 5 like local stations here, The Beach, Wild 106, K News, The Great Country, K Pig, they're all hearing my voice talk about Breaking and Entering, so we can really move that needle for a family that right now we don't even know who they are yet, which is kind of part of the fun. But then when we all know who they are, like everyone just wraps their heart around it, and it's probably the most special thing, because like we all remember as kids the magic of Christmas, and as adults it doesn't quite feel the same. And this is the way that Christmas feels, just like when you're a kid, like the magic of Christmas and knowing that these people will walk into that house, never have to be on camera with a big check, or there is no payoff kind of a thing, which is so very radio, right? To have like the big cardboard check or something. They just get to have a meaningful Christmas with their family. So it's rad. And thank you, Jenny, for mentioning Breaking and Entering.
Also,
Can I ask you one question? Can I ask you one quick?
Your Drip brothers, you interviewed them, and I just placed an order for my little nephews. I love that story.
Oh, that's so cool. You got to let them know that you heard it here. That's so fun. So really quick, Drip Brothers, these two kids that they make, all the baseball kids now, they wear like, they're trying to be like the big leaguers and have like the ice and so they make these, I think these like bling necklaces that they wear and they, do with your sports teams. And they made me a couple, these two little entrepreneur kids. So I had them on my show. I think that is so cool that you ordered them from Minnesota. That just tickles me. Thank you for saying that.
I learned the mom, I believe, they're a big Minnesota Viking fan.
Perfect.
Yes.
I love that.
No.
Yeah.
Hey,
Laura,
Adam.
Yeah.
The Pour.
The
Tell us
Pour.
about that.
So the Pour is my kind of extension of what I was doing with the Cork Dorks. When I left terrestrial radio, they said, the Pour happened on those stations first, so they technically own that name. And although they don't use the name Cork Dorks anymore, they certainly didn't want me to go, blossom with it. So I just changed the name to the Pour. And it's just, while Paso is all Paso and all wine, the Pour is not all Paso and not all wine. I mean, I've done shows at like the Firestone Walker Invitational Beer Fest, Spirits, all that. And I got a couple episodes in the can. It's been a little bit since I've put one out, but 2026 is going to pick up big. I got interviews in the can with Bob Lindquist and Andrew Murray. Again, Santa Barbara guys, but just absolute legends. Andrew Murray bought Coupe and Bob Lindquist started Coupe. So these guys having a chat, awesome. Elaine Choucan Brown, I saw her at Hospice du Rhone, and she's just one of the most brilliant writers in wine. And on my conversation with her, she just wrote a big book, the California Directory of Wine, or the California Book of Wine. So interviews like that, things that might not always fit on Where Wine Takes You, but yeah, that's what the Pour is. And thank you for asking about that.
Okay. Nancy.
Wait a minute, time out. Laura's had her hand up for like 15 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that.
Hi, Laura.
Hi,
That's
Laura.
okay. It's totally fine. I've forgotten what I was going to ask. No, I have 4 questions, but hi, I'm so sorry. I was extremely late tonight. I'm down in Orange County at a conference, and happy that I was able to get on it all. So you've already covered some of the stuff.
Don't worry about it. Go ahead. Feel free. Yeah.
But nice to see you again. Audrey looks like she's here, but we don't see her. I have a couple questions. Number one is, do you record video of your interviews ever and post them? Because I just haven't seen them if you are doing that. Because like this one, since I missed the beginning, I will go back and watch this later. Mm-hmm. Probably while I'm in the gym or something, and just play it. But so I'm wondering about that. Is my first question, and then my more that's my second question. My first question is more personal. So, when are you guys actually getting married?
We're getting married next October.
Yay! Oh, during like the busiest time of the year, really?
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of one of those things where if you can't, we're going to keep it's very going to be small, intimate wedding with just close friends and family. She's got family from Maine, I have family from Southern California. But if you can't come, we'll live. It's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of way you got to look at it. We just want to,
all I heard was that we're all invited. No,
you're all invited.
I'm totally.
Is it going to be in Paso?
It is. It's going to be in Paso. It's going to be on a ranch in Paso at our friends. It's a new winery, Red Door Ranch.
Oh, okay. You're not supposed to. You're giving us so much information. We're going to have
drones
in.
TMO. Right.
Well, it's your fault, Laura. You asked the question.
And then to answer, I know you got a couple other questions, Laura, but to answer your video question, this year I have been recording, and really what we'll do is we'll repurpose for like maybe socials and stuff, but we're going to kind of ramp that up a little bit more next year. I just realized as I kind of, I would do like a little video on the phone for a minute, and that's easier to post. And then I set up the cameras, got it all dialed in. Then you realize, well, I got an hour of tape here. And I gotta edit that. It's like I just edited the show, and I gotta edit that. So it became a lot. So I do have, I have every show that we've done in the last year on video. I don't know that we'll release like long form stuff, maybe in the future, but at least to repurpose for socials to drive people back to the podcast itself makes sense. And there's some great moments on film too. So I have a lot of stuff that hopefully we'll be seeing more of really soon, at least in little bits, like for socials.
I appreciate just having it as a podcast because I've got a commute, and so I end up listening to it on my commute, and it works out well. But because you have multiple people on at a time, there's times when I can't follow who's speaking at different times where I am wishing I had a visual for it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And what I try and do sometimes, and this is kind of encouragement to be a little bit better at this, but I try and like sometimes in questions throw in a name. Like, so, I'm talking to Jason, and then I go, but one thing I really like, Laura, is ... And then people know, okay, now he's talking to Laura. Yeah. So, but no, I think I could probably do that a little bit better, because you're right. Once you got some of these episodes, you got 4 people plus me, it's a lot going on. And you're right, that those need to be delineated better. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
So
sorry,
go ahead. No, it's to say, when I first experienced was during the pandemic, you were doing a live feed, and Verinder Sahi had reached out. He goes, I'm going to do Adam tonight. And it was live, right? I think was a live event, and it was video.
Mm-hmm. It might have been a virtual thing we did. Yeah.
No, and I like that. I prefer to watch the video of the podcast than I do just listening. But when I'm in the car, I listen. But when I'm at home, I'd rather watch. Yeah. And because I think what people got to express. So same question as Laura is that it'd be nice if the PRWCA would put the video up. And by the way, 2 things. Jason and I are totally AI, and we don't edit. So.
What were your other questions, Laura?
Oh, and again, I apologize. Jason might have already asked you this, but what is your dream job? What is your next? I mean, I love what you're doing. Don't stop what you're doing, right? But what's your dream? What's your next thing too?
Yeah, I think I'm doing it. I think I'd like to figure out ways to kind of even expand it more. I would love to, we live in such a cool area, 2.3 billion in tourism here. It's crazy. So like, I think that I'd love to figure out little ways to share this area in like a tourism way with podcasting, with interviews and storytelling and things like that. I think it would be fun to, learn other wine regions and not like necessarily, stop what I'm doing at Paso. I'll do that for literally as long as they'll have me. I love Paso. It's the best wine region on the planet. But like, it'd be fun to do like, something for like a wine region, I don't know, and learn about another one and do maybe a couple episodes for them to have. I don't know. I've always thought of things like that, but I love the idea of storytelling. And after the TEDx and doing this writers conference and a couple of other things that have required me to speak very like authentically in front of people. Like I've enjoyed that too. So, maybe there's more speaking kind of engagements that I think would, if I feel like that's a great way to use whatever talents God gave me. I don't know. I just I want to be used. I want to be a tool and be used and I mean that in like the best way, like to do things like storytelling and like conveying and stuff. So
that's awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. And
thank you for your questions.
And then just the last, sorry, Steve, I'll let you go in a second, but Not that, I'm sorry, Jason and Mike are in charge. I won't say that. But,
No, we're not. That's a foul sheet.
no, it sounds like when I got on, you guys were talking about the cruises and stuff, and trust me, Patrick and I are very tempted to go on 27, but we haven't pulled the trigger yet. And just
well, keep listening, because maybe in a few months there might be one that is being announced that I'm going to be involved with a couple of wineries that I'm really excited about. So, but we're putting all that stuff together now, and we're just trying to make it all fit.
Okay.
And I feel like
So
Mike
another
might have
one
some breaking news.
besides already the Benom and well,
That's going to be a great one too. Yeah.
I feel like Mike might have breaking news about a cruise in the weeks ahead.
Well,
Really?
yeah, I was guessing that's what I came in on. Okay.
I love it.
I don't have any breaking news.
No, weeks ahead, not tonight. I just feel like something's coming.
Yeah, the annual party,
Yeah.
which I'd love to have Adam come down and co-host, but
Right.
we'll talk
Steve,
about that
Nancy.
offline.
For sure. We'll talk about it.
All right, we got another question. Hand
Yeah.
raised.
Go ahead, Steve.
Where'd you go, Steve? Did you unmute yourself and actually disconnect yourself? There you are.
No, he's there. He's there. Steve, you're fine.
There you go. There you go. You're
Did it
remuted.
again.
There you go.
There we are.
Yeah, Steve.
I was just trying to drag the cursor into the corner. You would not believe how much resistance I ran into.
Hiding. It's really hard to find these things on this screen.
Anyway, my question and or comment is, I got lots of them. It's been a long conversation, but the main one that really struck my ears was the AMA Waterways Cruise, because we just did that in June on the Rhone River. And there was a pre to
Peter Neptune.
Barcelona. Yeah, the wine, it was a wine cruise with Master Sommelier Peter Neptune, and who happened to be my wine instructor as well. And I've gone through the WSET courses with him, the level 3 and the French wine scholar and all that. But the cruise was really nice. We had a pre-excursion in Barcelona for 3 days, and then we took a high-speed rail to Nîmes, and then a little bus to Avignon, and then got on the boat. And it was a beautiful cruise. They had, during the cruise, the week-long cruise, we, visited several wineries, Châteauneuf-des-Papes, and a little excursion to Beaujolais, and I forget the other one. Yeah, what?
Capital Lyon.
Oh yeah, Lyon. But then what was cool is during the cruise we had several presentations about wine. We had a sommelier from the area come and give a lecture about wine. Then of course Peter Neptune, being the host of the wine cruise, gave 2 different presentations on 2 different days about different wines. We were in Hermitage, led a hike up to the top of the Hermitage Hill.
In the chapel?
Yeah, and I got to taste. Oh yeah, that was the other good tasting, was in Hermitage at
Poutier.
the Goudia or something like that. Yeah,
Adam just said it.
Yeah, I forget the name.
M.
But
Chapoutier.
fantastic, Syrahs there. Yeah, I'll think of that name in a minute. But anyway, we had excursions to wineries, and then the presentations on the cruise as well were excellent. And then a wine pairing dinner was one of the nights, and then another night everyone got a chance to sit at the captain's table, which also involved 7 courts with wine pairing as well. So wine every night, and then every evening they had a happy hour from 6 to 7 before dinner, where you go and you have the free champagne and whatever you like to drink, and then you go sit down and have dinner. And so people would go into town and buy like good bottles of wine and then bring them to the table for dinner, and then they come and they do the decanting for you and the whole bit. It was a top-notch cruise, gourmet food every meal, and yeah, and the boat was just awesome as well. So highly recommend that. And I just wanted to put that out there that, if you guys are actually thinking of doing that, it's fantastic. The only drawback is airfare. It costs more to fly over there than it will for the entire week-long cruise. And so you have to try to find a way to get cheap airfare to get your butt over there.
Yeah.
How much did How much did that run you, if you don't mind my asking?
Okay, it was about per
great.
person about 7,500 for the cruise, and then not bad considering it was like gourmet
But the
and
airfare.
wine is
That's not
flowing.
bad at all.
Airfare to get over there, $8,500. Yeah. So now add all that up. That's what your vacation is costing without spending money or insurances or things you need to buy to go,
Right.
and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it gets pricey real fast. So there's a way to get over there cheap with airfare. There's several I'd like to do. They've got one going that's going from Greece to Italy to southern Italy and stopping about 5-10 different places. There's another one, Burgundy, that's actually this coming up year, a Burgundy cruise up the I think it was a Rhine River. And then of course the Bordeaux cruise that he also mentioned. And I want to do that one too. That doesn't cover as much turf. You're just basically you park in Bordeaux, and in the evening it goes all the way around the Horn to the right bank, and then you kind of slowly
Okay.
make your way up the right bank and then back down the left bank again.
Adam, what do you what do you have coming up? You don't have to say who's involved, but where?
Oh, for the
Is
cruise?
it going to be? It's going to be an AMA wave, right?
I've only and I love AMA. I think they do such a great job. And
Yeah.
is it Steve? Is that your name, sir? It's fantastic.
Yeah,
He's right.
Steve,
the food.
yeah.
Steve is on point. The food is so good. In fact, they'd come up, they'd have like, hey, today's soup is this and that. And I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Oh, the
Yeah,
crew
like
was
I will do
wonderful
both
too.
soups. Like,
Yeah.
love the soups there, loved all the food. And so and the relationship that I'm blessed enough to have with AMA, like I definitely will only cruise with them. They're the best in the game, in my opinion. And we don't know where we're going to go for this next cruise, but I've done the Rhone twice with them and Bordeaux twice with them, and they just kill it every single time. And so I don't know, we might do the Danube. We talked about that, and then COVID shut it down. So I mean, there's so many fun places up there, and AMA cruises them now. So I just we don't even know yet. We're looking at dates right now in 27, and it's still premature for me to even say where we're going to go because I just don't know.
Yeah. So the other winery was Les Chapoutiers.
Yes.
And oh yeah, fantastic Syrah. So I bought a bottle there, because they gave us a discount because we're part of the group. So it's like this 70-euro bottle, bought it for 50. And then I tried to bring it home and it got confiscated at Charles de Gaulle Airport. And yeah.
What?
And so they took it away, and the guy was a real prick about it. And I walked fine, and I had to unpack and repack my entire everything I had with me, suitcase, backpack, everything.
Because you're allowed to bring wine back.
Yeah, but you can't do it on your carry-on, Steve.
Yeah.
Can't
And
carry
so,
on.
so what happens is I walk 20 feet upstairs to the duty-free shop and buy an almost identical bottle, not the same winery, but a same bottle of Hermitage wine, and ended up paying $100 for a bottle that was worth about $100. And before I had paid 50 for one that was worth 169. But so yeah, it was kind of silly. And then I even though I bought it at the duty-free store and had all the stickers and everything and packaged right, I get into Charleston, stupid Douglas Airport, and they have a cow about it. And they had to take all the packaging off and put it in their scanner thing, and then put all their labeling and shit on it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Never again. And I've talked to other people, and obviously the thing to do is you take an empty suitcase with foam.
Yep.
And you get 6 bottles, and you put them in that, and you check it in, and cross your fingers it doesn't get too much weather damage on the way in.
But then you can only bring 12 bottles back. It's just not. You have to arrange to ship it. I'm sorry. I have a problem. We have a problem.
Actually, customs only allows you 1 liter per person, and coming in from Mexico, they give you 1 bottle per person, which is 750 milliliters. When 3 of us come across, we should be able to bring 4. And they try to give us crap about that. So it's very strict. You gotta ship it from Europe if you're bringing more than a bottle.
Excuse me, everybody. I just want to get back in here real quick.
Hold on, guys.
We understand about the shipping. It costs a lot to ship.
This is for the after show.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's bring Adam back in. And if you have any questions for Adam, otherwise we'll let him go to enjoy his evening with his fiance. And but you know, hey, look, you're a great guy, and it was a pleasure to have you on here. And if anybody has any questions, throw your hand up now. But we can let Adam enjoy the rest of his evening. But I thank you
Appreciate
so
it, Adam.
much for honoring us,
Adam.
for joining in. And this is our first diversion away from winemaker, yet winemaker. Wine, yeah. So, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. Adam, I really appreciate the time. Been a fan of yours for a long time. I think you're really good at what you do, but you're meaningful to the community, not just for wine, but all the other stuff that you do. So it's been an honor, a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, one, for having me to this crazy group of people. I love the Paso Robles Wine Fanatics because, look, I mean, only an area like Paso can create a group of fans as unique and as fun and as spirited as you guys. So to Mike and to Jason and everyone here for having me, even though I'm not a winemaker, for, Jenny for bringing up and Adam and my breaking and entering and the thoughtful questions that you asked and for some of the really nice things you said. Honestly, a couple of times I just thought of my mom listening down here and just being like, oh, this is really sweet. They get him. So you made me feel really good tonight, and I appreciate the time. Hope you'll have me back.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Adam,
Thank you.
Thanks.
give me a call sometime. We'll talk.
For sure.
Okay.
Cheers, friends. Thanks again.
Thank you
everybody.
so much.
Mike and Jason, appreciate you guys, setting this up for us. I think we all get a lot out of it. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate
That's
it.
why we do. That's why we do it, Matt.
Yeah. Great
So,
job, guys.
yeah. Thank you.
Cheers. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.